The journey opens in quiet frustration and unnoticed self-betrayal, the weight of avoided effort and broken promises. It rises through honest confrontation, disciplined struggle, and sustained pressure, where comfort is stripped away and identity is tested. Gradually, resistance turns into capability, and effort becomes structure. What once felt heavy becomes familiar. By the end, clarity replaces confusion. Control replaces chaos. The listener no longer reacts to life but moves with intention. Avoidance transforms into strength. Discipline becomes identity, and focus becomes a chosen state. The arc completes a full transition from weakness to composure, from distraction to deliberate command, leaving the listener grounded, focused, and internally dominant in a noisy world. Comfort feels safe. Comfort feels kind. Comfort feels like rest. But comfort is also a cage you slowly forget you are inside. You did not choose it in one day. You stepped into it little by little. Each time you avoided something hard, comfort grew stronger. Each time you delayed a difficult choice, comfort tightened its grip. Now it feels normal. That is the danger. Your life is not shaped by big moments alone. It is shaped by small daily decisions, the ones nobody sees, the ones you explain away, the ones you say you will fix later. Every time you choose easy over necessary, you train your mind to run. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you shrink your future. This is not about shame. This is about truth. You avoid discomfort because your brain wants safety. It wants less effort. It wants relief now. But the same brain that protects you can also limit you. It whispers that hard things are dangerous. It tells you to stop, to rest, to wait. It sounds caring, but it is afraid. And if you obey fear long enough, fear becomes your leader. Look at your habits. Look at what you postpone. Look at the conversations you avoid, the work you delay, the discipline you promise yourself tomorrow. None of this makes you weak as a person. It makes you human. But staying there is a choice. Staying there is how strength dies quietly. Strength is not loud. Strength is not anger or noise. Strength is the ability to stay present when things feel heavy. It is the power to continue when quitting would feel good. It is built in silence. Through discomfort you do not escape. Every strong person you admire learned this lesson early or learned it the hard way. Comfort gives you short peace. Strength gives you long freedom. Comfort asks nothing from you today. Strength asks everything, slowly over time. Comfort feels warm at first, then cold when you realize nothing changed. Strength feels sharp at first, then calm when you realize you can handle more than you thought. Right now you stand on a line. On one side is ease, familiar days, repeated excuses, the same problems, recycled. On the other side is effort, uncertainty, growth, a version of you that feels uncomfortable because it is new. You cannot stand on both sides. You must choose. You may think you need more motivation. You do not. You need more honesty. Honesty about what comfort has cost you. Honesty about how much potential you have traded for relief. Motivation fades. Identity stays. The question is not what you feel like doing. The question is who you decide to become. Discomfort is not punishment. It is training. It is your mind learning that hard things will not destroy you. Each time you stay with difficulty, you expand. Each time you escape it, you shrink. This is the rule. It never changes. Life respects the person who respects effort. This audiobook is not here to make you feel good for an hour. It is here to change how you think when things get hard. It will challenge your excuses. It will test your patience. It will ask you to sit with discomfort instead of running from it. That is how real confidence is built. You do not need to become extreme. You do not need to become perfect. You need to become consistent. Small, hard actions done daily change the shape of your mind. Over time, what once felt impossible becomes normal. What once scared you becomes familiar. Think about a simple moment. The alarm rings. Your body wants to stay still. Your mind looks for reasons. Just 5 more minutes. Just today. That moment seems small, but it is a vote. A vote for comfort or a vote for strength. The same choice appears when you choose food, work, practice, or silence. Every choice teaches your mind what kind of person you are. When you choose hard things, even small ones, you send a clear message. You tell yourself that you can be trusted. Trust builds confidence. Confidence builds courage. Courage builds a life that feels solid instead of fragile. This is how change really begins. Not with promises, but with repeated proof. This is the moment you stop waiting for ease. This is the moment you stop asking for permission to grow. Comfort has had enough of your time. Strength is calling you forward. Stay comfortable and remain small, or step into training and become powerful. No one can walk this line for you. No one can carry the weight of your choices. This path is personal. It is quiet. It is yours alone. The next choice is already waiting for you, right now, not later. Choose. Chapter 1. Why most people quit early. Quitting feels like relief. That is why it is dangerous. In the moment you stop, pressure disappears. The body relaxes. The mind quiets. For a few seconds, everything feels easier. That feeling tricks you. It convinces you that quitting solved the problem, but it did not. It only delayed it. The weight you avoided does not vanish. It waits, and later it returns heavier, sharper, harder to carry than before. This is where most people lose their future. Not in pain, but in relief. Your brain is built to protect you, not to grow you. It scans for danger, discomfort, effort. When it senses strain, it sends signals. Stop, rest, escape. These signals feel like wisdom, but they are instinct, ancient instinct. The same system that kept humans alive now keeps you small if you never challenge it. The brain hates uncertainty. It hates effort without reward. So when things get hard, it offers you an exit. Quitting is that exit. You tell yourself a story when you quit. You say it was not the right time. You say you were tired. You say you will return stronger later. These stories feel kind. They feel reasonable. But slowly they shape your identity. Each excuse becomes evidence. Evidence that you do not finish. Evidence that pressure breaks you. Over time, you stop trusting yourself. And when self-trust is gone, ambition dies quietly. Most people believe quitters are weak. That belief is wrong. Most quitters are untrained. They never learned how to stay when discomfort rises. They never practiced holding tension without escaping. Nobody taught them that quitting urges peak right before growth begins. So they obey the urge again and again until quitting feels natural. Not because they lack strength, but because they never built it. Think about the last time you quit something important. Maybe a habit, maybe a goal, maybe a promise you made to yourself. Remember the moment, the tiredness, the frustration, the voice saying it is okay to stop. That voice felt convincing because it spoke to your desire for relief. But what happened later? Did you feel proud? Or did a quiet regret follow you? Regret is the cost nobody warns you about. Relief is immediate. Regret is slow. Relief feels good now. Regret waits and grows. It shows up in small moments. When you see someone doing what you quit, when you remember the version of yourself you could have become, regret does not shout, it whispers. And because it whispers, many people ignore it until years have passed. That is the real price of quitting early. Your nervous system reacts before your logic. When effort increases, stress rises, heart rate changes, muscles tighten. Your system reads this as danger. It does not know the difference between growth pain and real threat, so it pushes you to stop. Understanding this changes everything. It means the urge to quit is not a signal to stop. It is a signal that training must begin. The moment you want to quit is the moment your mind is being asked to adapt. That discomfort is not random. It is precise. It appears at the edge of your current ability. If you leave, you stay the same. If you stay, you expand. Growth only happens at that edge. That is why quitting early feels so tempting. You are standing exactly where change demands effort. People who succeed are not calmer than you. They are not less tired than you. They simply learned one skill early. They learned how to pause instead of quit. They learned how to breathe through resistance. They learned how to wait without escaping. This is not talent, this is training. And like all training, it starts uncomfortable and ends powerful. Quitting is not a moral failure. It is a habit, and habits can be changed. But first, you must stop judging yourself and start observing yourself. Notice when quitting thoughts appear. Notice the patterns. Same time of day, same feelings, same excuses. Awareness removes mystery. Mystery gives quitting power. Clarity takes it away. When you feel the urge to quit, do not argue with it. Do not fight it. Simply delay it. Give yourself 10 minutes and stay present. Stay in the task. Let the discomfort rise and fall. You will notice something important. The urge peaks, then weakens. Urges behave like waves. They feel permanent, but they are temporary. Learning this builds confidence. Every time you stay instead of quit, even briefly, you send your brain a new message. You say, "This is safe. This will not kill me. I can handle this." Over time, your nervous system recalibrates. What once felt unbearable becomes manageable. What once felt impossible becomes normal. This is how discipline forms. Quietly, gradually, through repetition. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your training. If your training teaches escape, you will escape under pressure. If your training teaches presence, you will remain. This chapter is not asking you to never quit again. It is asking you to recognize the moment quitting appears. That moment is the doorway. Quitting early keeps you familiar with comfort. Staying builds familiarity with effort. Familiarity removes fear. Fear is not removed by thinking. It is removed by experience. Each time you endure a little longer, fear loses authority. Strength does not arrive suddenly. It accumulates, slowly, invisibly. Until one day you realize you no longer quit like you used to. This is the shift. Quitting is no longer shameful or confusing. It becomes information, a signal, a sign that you reach the edge of growth. From now on, when quitting appears, you will not panic. You will recognize it. You will know what it means. Training begins here, and because you stay, everything that follows becomes possible. Chapter 2. Pain is a signal, not a stop sign. Pain is the moment most people turn back. The breath tightens, the body resists, the mind says stop. From early life, you learn one rule. Pain is bad, avoid it, escape it, remove it as fast as possible. That rule keeps you comfortable, but it also keeps you fragile, because pain itself is not the enemy. Misunderstanding pain is. Pain is information. It is feedback from your body and mind. It tells you that you are doing something new, something demanding, something that requires adaptation. But when you confuse pain with danger, you retreat too early. You read the signal wrong. You treat training as a threat. That single mistake shapes entire lives. Think about how quickly you pull your hand from fire. That pain protects you. It saves you. But now think about muscle soreness after effort, or mental strain after focus, or emotional discomfort during growth. These pains do not destroy you. They develop you. The body does not speak in words. It speaks in sensation, and sensation must be interpreted correctly. Most people feel pain and assume failure. They believe something is wrong. They believe they are not built for this. That belief ends progress immediately. But pain does not mean stop. Pain means pay attention. Pain asks a question. Can you stay calm here? Can you breathe here? Can you learn here? The problem is not pain itself. The problem is panic. When pain appears, panic rushes in. The heart speeds up. Thoughts become loud. The mind imagines danger where there is only effort. Panic tells you to escape now before it gets worse. But panic lies. Panic has no patience. Panic only wants relief. Those who flee pain stay fragile because they never let the body and mind adapt. They keep their tolerance low. Every challenge feels intense. Every effort feels overwhelming. Life feels heavy, not because it is cruel, but because they never trained their capacity. Avoidance feels safe, but it slowly shrinks your world. Those who study pain grow resilient. They pause instead of running. They observe instead of reacting. They ask simple questions. What kind of pain is this? Is it injury or effort? Is it danger or growth? This pause creates space. In that space, control is born. Pain during growth often comes with tension, heat, fatigue, pressure. These sensations are not warnings of failure. They are signs of engagement. They mean systems are being challenged, muscles tearing slightly to rebuild stronger, attention stretching beyond comfort, emotions surfacing to be processed. None of this happens in ease. The mind prefers comfort because comfort requires no adaptation, but comfort also offers no expansion. If you want a stronger body, you accept soreness. If you want a sharper mind, you accept mental strain. If you want emotional control, you accept discomfort. This is the exchange. There is no other path. Pain tolerance is not about suffering. It is about clarity. It is about knowing when pain teaches and when it warns. Many people never learn the difference, so they treat all discomfort as danger. That mistake costs years, sometimes decades, but you can correct it now. The moment pain appears, you have a choice: react or respond. Reaction is automatic. Response is trained. Reaction tightens the body and narrows thinking. Response slows breathing and widens awareness. Reaction says stop. Response says observe. That difference changes outcomes. You do not need to love pain. You only need to stop fearing it. Fear multiplies pain. Calm reduces it. When you stay present, pain becomes manageable. When you resist it, pain grows sharper. What you fight often strengthens. What you observe often softens. Imagine lifting a weight heavier than usual. The muscles burn. The arms shake. The mind says, drop it. If you drop it instantly, nothing changes. But if you hold a moment longer, even one breath, something shifts. The body learns. Next time, that weight feels lighter. Pain taught you something, not to quit, but to adapt. Mental pain works the same way. Focus feels uncomfortable at first. Silence feels strange. Discipline feels restrictive. But if you stay, your tolerance grows. What once felt heavy becomes stable. What once felt noisy becomes quiet. This is not willpower, it is conditioning. Many people believe strong individuals feel less pain. That belief is false. Strong individuals feel pain clearly, but they do not panic. They do not rush to escape. They stay curious. Curiosity replaces fear, and fear loses power when it is studied. When pain shows up, say this silently: this is training. This is feedback. This is not the end. Simple language calms the system. The body listens to how you speak to yourself. Calm words slow the breath. Slow breath calms the nerves. Calm nerves allow control. Pain tolerance is the first real upgrade in self-mastery because it changes how you relate to difficulty. Difficulty no longer controls you. You learn to stay steady under pressure. You stop being pushed around by sensation. You begin leading yourself. This does not happen in one moment. It happens through repetition. Small exposures, small stays. Each time you remain a little longer, tolerance grows. Each time you escape instantly, tolerance shrinks. This is mechanical, not personal, not emotional, mechanical. Life respects tolerance. The more you can tolerate, the more life gives you. Responsibility, opportunity, growth. Those things bring pressure. Without tolerance, pressure feels unbearable. With tolerance, pressure feels purposeful. You are not broken because pain feels intense. You are simply untrained. And training always begins with discomfort. The mind resists at first. The body complains. That is normal. That is expected. That is the price of adaptation. From now on, pain is no longer a stop sign. It is a signal, a message, a marker that you are at the edge of your current capacity. Edges are where growth lives. If you turn back, you stay the same. If you stay present, you expand. This chapter is not asking you to suffer endlessly. It is teaching you to listen differently, to replace fear with understanding, to replace escape with patience. This shift is quiet, but it is powerful. When pain comes, you do not ask, how fast can I stop this? You ask, what is this teaching me? That question changes everything, because the moment pain becomes a teacher, you become a student of your own strength, and that is where real mastery begins. Chapter 3, The Discipline Gap. Doing what you said you'd do. The gap is small, but it ruins lives. The gap between what you say and what you do, between intention and action, between promise and proof. Most people live inside this gap without naming it. They plan, they hope, they talk. But when the moment comes, they hesitate, and each hesitation leaves a mark. You do not lose confidence all at once. You lose it quietly. Every time you tell yourself tomorrow, later, next week. Every time you say, I will start, and then do not. These moments seem harmless, but your mind is watching. It is recording. It is learning whether your words mean anything. Broken self-trust is heavier than failure. Failure can teach. Broken self-trust drains. When you do not follow through, you begin to doubt yourself. Not loudly, subtly. You stop expecting effort from yourself. You lower standards without noticing. And slowly, identity weakens. Discipline is not about being strict. It is about being honest. It is about alignment. When your actions match your words, strength forms. When they do not, Friction grows inside you. That friction becomes anxiety, then avoidance, then numbness. This is how potential leaks away. Most people wait for motivation. They wait to feel ready. They wait for energy. But motivation is unstable. It rises and falls. Discipline does not depend on mood. Discipline is an agreement, a private contract between you and you. And like all contracts, it only matters if it is honored. Think about a simple promise. Wake up early, exercise, study, be consistent. None of these are extreme. But breaking small promises trains your mind to distrust you. The mind says, why listen next time? Why believe this voice? That is why starting feels harder every time. You are arguing with your own history. Strong people are not harsh with themselves. They are clear. They do not overpromise. They choose small, exact commitments, and then they keep them. Over time, these kept promises stack. Self-trust grows. Confidence becomes calm, not loud. The discipline gap exists because intention feels good. Action feels heavy. Intention gives identity without cost. Action demands payment. The brain prefers reward without effort, so it celebrates planning. It celebrates imagining change. But imagination without execution weakens you. Notice how good it feels to decide, to make a plan, to say tomorrow is different. That feeling is borrowed confidence. Real confidence is earned later through action. If you never pay it back, the mind learns that decisions are cheap, and cheap decisions create weak outcomes. Discipline is not forcing yourself through pain. It is removing negotiation. When you negotiate daily, you drain energy. You debate, you delay, you justify. Discipline ends debate. It turns action into routine. When action is routine, resistance fades. You do not rise because you feel strong. You rise because rising is who you are becoming. Identity leads behavior, but behavior also shapes identity. This is the loop. Each time you act in alignment, the loop strengthens. Each time you break it, the loop weakens. Many people believe discipline limits freedom. That belief keeps them trapped. In truth, discipline creates freedom. Freedom from chaos, freedom from guilt, freedom from constant restarting. When your word is solid, your mind rests. There is no internal argument, no chasing lost time. Look at your past goals. How many failed because you lacked ability? Very few. Most failed because consistency broke, because discipline cracked under comfort. This is not a character flaw. It is a training gap, and gaps can be closed. Discipline begins with clarity. Vague goals invite escape. Clear actions remove confusion. Not I will get healthier, but I will walk 20 minutes. Not I will focus more, but I will work without my phone for 30 minutes. Precision reduces resistance. Then comes repetition. The same action, even when boring, especially when boring. Boredom is where discipline proves itself. Anyone can act when inspired. Few act when nothing feels exciting. Those few build uncommon strength. Each time you keep a promise, your nervous system relaxes. It says, this is stable, this is reliable. Over time, anxiety decreases, confidence increases. You no longer need hype. You trust your follow-through. Each time you break a promise, tension builds. You avoid yourself. You distract. You scroll. You fill silence. Because silence reminds you of what you said you would do. Discipline removes this tension by closing loops. Finish what you start. Even small things, especially small things. You do not need to fix everything today. You need to stop lying to yourself. Choose fewer promises. Keep them. That is discipline, not intensity, not perfection, Consistency. Discipline is identity training. When you act despite discomfort, you send a message. I do what I say. That message becomes belief. Belief becomes behavior. Behavior becomes character. This is how strong people are built. Quietly, repeatedly. Responsibility is unavoidable once you see this. You cannot unsee the gap. You cannot blame time, mood, or circumstance anymore. You see the pattern, and awareness removes excuses. This is not punishment, it is power. From this point forward, every choice is a vote for alignment or a vote for erosion. You may fail sometimes. That is human. But you return, you repair, you keep promises small and sacred. Discipline is not loud. It does not announce itself. It shows up on time. It does the work. It leaves without drama. And over time, it builds a life that feels grounded instead of scattered. You do not need to become someone new. You need to become someone consistent. The gap closes one action at a time. And as it closes, strength replaces doubt. You are no longer waiting to feel ready. You act because you decided. This is where responsibility becomes freedom. And once discipline becomes identity, the rest of the path opens naturally. Chapter 4. Training Focus in a World Built to Break It. Your attention is under attack, not once in a while, all day, every day. From the moment you wake up, something wants your focus. Screens light up, notifications pull, noise fills the air. None of this is accidental. A distracted mind is easier to control, easier to sell to, easier to keep passive. And if you do not protect your attention, it will be taken from you. Focus is the modern battlefield, not strength, not intelligence. Attention. Where your attention goes, your life follows. Scattered attention creates scattered results. Directed attention creates force. Yet most people give their attention away without thinking. They wonder why they feel tired, unfocused, behind. The answer is simple. Their mind is never fully anywhere. Distraction feels harmless. Just a message, just a video, just a quick check. But each interruption fractures your thinking. It pulls you out of depth and keeps you on the surface. Surface living feels busy, but it produces little. You move a lot, but you go nowhere. This is the trap. Your brain is not broken. It is overloaded. It was never designed for constant input. Every switch of attention costs energy. Each time you shift, your mind must restart. Over time, this creates mental fatigue. You feel exhausted without doing anything meaningful. That exhaustion makes focus even harder, and the cycle deepens. Most people believe focus is a talent, something you either have or do not. That belief keeps them stuck. Focus is not personality, it is training. The same way muscles adapt to weight, attention adapts to demand. But if you never demand focus, it weakens. If you never protect it, it scatters. Look at how you start your day. Do you begin with intention or reaction? Do you choose your first task, or does your phone choose for you? The first hour trains the mind. If it begins in chaos, chaos feels normal. If it begins in clarity, clarity strengthens. Distraction keeps you passive. Focus makes you active. When distracted, you respond. When focused, you decide. That difference shapes identity. Passive minds wait. Active minds build. One drifts, the other directs. You cannot build anything meaningful with broken attention. Discipline leaks without focus. Effort leaks without focus. Even motivation leaks without focus. You start strong, then fade. Not because you lack will, but because your mind is split into pieces. Training focus begins with one truth. You cannot do everything. and you should stop trying. Focus is not adding more. It is removing noise. It is choosing one thing and staying with it longer than feels comfortable. Silence will feel strange at first. Stillness will feel heavy. The mind will search for escape. This is withdrawal, not from substances, but from stimulation. The urge to check, scroll, switch will rise. This is normal. This is training beginning. When you resist distraction, discomfort appears. Restlessness, boredom, anxiety. Many people quit here. They say they cannot focus, but what they really mean is they cannot tolerate the feeling that comes before focus. Focus comes after the discomfort, not before it. Set a simple rule. One task, one time, one place, no switching, no checking. Even 10 minutes matters. When the urge to escape appears, notice it. Do not obey it. Breathe. Stay. Each moment you stay, attention strengthens. Focus is a muscle. It shakes before it stabilizes. It burns before it grows. You would not drop a weight the first time it feels heavy and say you are weak. Yet people do this with attention every day. They feel discomfort and quit training the mind. Your environment trains you whether you choose it or not. Cluttered space creates cluttered thought. Noise creates fragmentation. Clean space invites clarity. This is not aesthetic. It is neurological. Shape your environment to support focus, or it will support distraction. Remove what pulls you. Silence what interrupts you. Not forever, just during training. Focus does not need hours. It needs protection. Short, clean sessions build capacity faster than long, broken ones. Scattered effort feels busy. Directed force feels calm. When you focus deeply, time changes. Minutes stretch. Thoughts slow. You feel grounded. This state is not rare. It is simply unfamiliar. You lost it through constant interruption. You can rebuild it through practice. Without focus, discipline collapses. You sit to work, then drift. You plan to train, then delay. You want growth, but your mind keeps slipping away. Focus is the container that holds effort. Without the container, effort spills. You do not need more pressure. You need more presence. Presence is attention anchored. It is the ability to stay where you are without chasing stimulation. Presence sharpens perception. It increases quality. One focused hour beats 10 distracted ones. Training focus also trains patience. You learn to sit with unfinished thoughts, unanswered urges. That patience spreads, conversations deepen, decisions improve. Life slows down in the best way. Many people fear focus because it removes distraction, and distraction protects them from discomfort, from doubt, from responsibility. When you focus, you meet yourself fully. That meeting can feel intense, but it is also empowering. Focus makes effort count. It turns movement into progress. It turns time into results. Without it, days blur. Weeks disappear. With it, direction forms. This world will not help you focus. It profits from your distraction. That means focus is now an act of self-respect, a quiet rebellion, a decision to own your mind. Each time you choose focus, you reclaim energy. Each time you resist distraction, you sharpen identity. You become someone who can stay, someone who can build. This chapter is not about perfection. You will drift. You will fail. That is part of training. You simply return, again and again. Return builds strength. Focus is the gatekeeper. Without it, nothing holds. With it, everything aligns. And once attention becomes stable, the deeper work can begin. Chapter 5, Repetition, Boredom, and the Making of Power. Power is not built in excitement. It is built in repetition. Quiet repetition, uncelebrated repetition. the kind that feels dull, slow, and invisible. This is where most people lose interest, not because the work is too hard, but because it is not stimulating. Boredom appears, and with it comes doubt. Am I making progress? Is this worth it? Should I try something new? These questions pull people away right before strength takes root. Boredom is not a flaw in the process. It is the process. When novelty fades, truth remains. When excitement disappears, commitment is tested. Anyone can start strong. Anyone can feel inspired on day one. But inspiration does not build power. Consistency does. And consistency often feels boring. Your mind craves stimulation. It wants variety. It wants reward. Repetition denies it these things. That is why repetition feels uncomfortable. The brain looks for escape. It whispers that you are wasting time. It suggests new plans, new methods, new starts. This is not intuition. This is resistance. Repetition removes drama. It strips growth down to simple action. Do the same thing again, and again, and again, without applause, without proof, without excitement. This is where identity is shaped, not in big moments, but in ordinary ones repeated daily. Flashy starts feel powerful, new goals, new routines, new energy, social approval, but flashy starts fade quickly. Quiet consistency lasts. Quiet consistency does not need permission. It does not need mood. It does not need perfect conditions. It shows up anyway. Boredom reveals who you are when nothing is pushing you, when no one is watching, when results are slow. This is the moment where most people stop. They mistake boredom for a sign to change direction. In reality, boredom is a sign that the work is beginning to work. Mastery is not built by doing many things once. It is built by doing a few things many times. Each repetition sharpens skill. Each repetition strengthens tolerance. Each repetition deepens focus. You may not feel it happening, but something is changing underneath. Think about a stone shaped by water. One drop does nothing. Thousands of drops create form. Repetition works the same way. Small effort, applied consistently, over time. This is how power grows without noise. Boredom trains patience. Patience trains endurance. Endurance creates advantage. In a world chasing stimulation, patience becomes rare, and rare skills create leverage. While others search for excitement, you are building depth. Your ego wants progress you can show, numbers, praise, fast results. But real growth often hides. Muscles strengthen before they look different. Focus sharpens before it feels effortless. Discipline forms before confidence appears. If you quit because you cannot see change, you miss the moment it begins. Repetition also removes fear. The first time feels heavy. The 10th time feels familiar. The 100th time feels normal. What once required courage becomes routine. This is how fear loses control, not through thinking, but through repeated exposure. Boredom is the test of seriousness. It asks one question. Will you continue without reward? If the answer is yes, you separate yourself, not loudly, quietly. You move into a smaller group, the group that builds instead of chases. Many people confuse boredom with lack of passion. They say they lost motivation. But motivation is not required for repetition. Commitment is. Commitment says, I do this whether it feels exciting or not. That decision builds stability. Repetition also builds self-respect. Each day you return, you prove something to yourself. You are reliable. You are steady. You do not need novelty to act. This proof strengthens identity more than any speech or promise. There will be days when repetition feels heavy, when boredom feels loud, when progress feels absent. These are not signs to stop. These are signs to simplify. Do the basics. Lower intensity. Keep the chain unbroken. Momentum is fragile. Consistency protects it. Power grows in silence. No one sees the early mornings. No one claps for the focused hour. No one celebrates the routine. But those moments accumulate, quietly, invisibly, until one day the difference is obvious. People will ask how you became disciplined, how you stayed consistent, how you grew so steady. They will expect a secret. There is none. You stayed when it was boring. You repeated when it was dull. You trusted the process when nothing was happening. Repetition trains the nervous system. It reduces friction. The mind stops resisting. The body adapts. What once required effort becomes automatic. Automation frees energy. That energy can be directed toward higher challenges. This is how capacity expands. Flashy effort burns fast. Quiet effort lasts. Flashy effort seeks attention. Quiet effort builds foundation. One collapses under pressure, the other holds. There is a deep calm that comes from repetition, a rhythm, a sense of order. Chaos fades, doubt softens. You know what you do each day. You stop searching for direction because direction is built into routine. Boredom also reveals excuses. When nothing is exciting, excuses stand naked. There is no drama to hide behind. Only choice, act or avoid, and each choice strengthens a pattern. Power is not loud confidence, it is calm capability. The knowledge that you can return to the work again and again. That knowledge cannot be given. It must be earned through repetition. This chapter is not asking you to love boredom. It is asking you to respect it. Boredom is the gate. On the other side is depth, skill, stability, strength that does not depend on mood. When you feel bored, remind yourself. This is where others stop. This is where advantage is built. Stay here. Breathe. Repeat. The world applauds beginnings. It rewards noise. It celebrates talent. But it is repetition that builds mastery. And mastery is power. No one claps for repetition. No one sees it forming. That is why it works. That is why it changes you. Quietly, completely. Chapter 6. Identity Shift. Becoming the person who does hard things. At some point, effort is no longer the problem. Identity is. You already know what to do. You have learned discipline. You have practiced focus. You have stayed through boredom. Yet something still pulls you back. That pull is not habit. It is self-image. The picture you hold of who you are decides how far you go. Most people live as negotiators. They negotiate with discomfort. They negotiate with effort. They negotiate with themselves every day. Should I do this now? Should I rest? Should I wait? This constant debate drains energy. It keeps life uncertain, and it keeps identity weak. Strong people do not negotiate with what must be done. They decide. Decision removes friction. Decision removes drama. Decision simplifies life. When something is decided, the mind stops arguing. The body follows. Identity is not what you think about yourself. It is what you repeatedly prove. Every action is a vote. Over time, those votes form a pattern. That pattern becomes character. Character becomes destiny. This is not philosophy. This is mechanics. You are always becoming someone. There is no pause. Each day shapes you, either into someone who avoids or someone who endures, someone who delays or someone who acts. Identity does not change in one moment. It shifts quietly through repetition. The old identity says maybe. The new identity says done. The old identity waits for feeling ready. The new identity acts when required. The old identity hopes difficulty will pass. The new identity expects difficulty and prepares for it. This shift is subtle but powerful. When you see yourself as someone who does hard things, difficulty loses its threat. It becomes familiar. It becomes normal. You stop asking, why is this hard? You start saying, of course this is hard. Identity shapes perception. Two people face the same task. One feels overwhelmed. The other feels engaged. The task did not change. The identity did. One sees challenge as danger. The other sees it as confirmation. You do not become this person by thinking differently first. You become this person by acting differently before you feel ready. Action comes first. Identity follows. Waiting to feel strong keeps you weak. Acting builds strength. The old self negotiates because it fears loss. Loss of comfort, loss of ease, loss of certainty. The new self understands something deeper. Comfort is already costing you. Ease is already expensive. The price is growth. Deciding to become someone who does hard things means you stop asking permission. You stop asking mood. You stop asking comfort. You act based on values. Values are stable. Feelings are not. This identity does not shout. It does not seek attention. It is calm, grounded, quietly confident. It knows that strength is built privately and revealed later. Every time you do something hard on purpose, you reinforce this identity. Not dramatically, internally. You say to yourself without words, this is who I am now. That message sinks deep. Over time, it replaces doubt. The old identity explains, the new identity executes. Explanation feels safe. Execution feels risky. But execution builds trust, and trust changes how you see yourself. You may still feel resistance. That does not disappear. But resistance no longer controls behavior. It becomes background noise. You move with it, not against it. This is mastery. Becoming this person does not mean becoming cold or extreme. It means becoming reliable. You follow through. You show up. You do not create chaos inside yourself. When identity shifts, discipline feels lighter. Focus feels natural. Repetition feels purposeful. You are no longer forcing behavior. Behavior flows from who you believe you are. Language matters here. Stop saying I am trying. Say I do. Stop saying I hope. Say I decide. Words train identity. Speak with certainty, even when effort is required. This identity also removes surprise. You stop being shocked by difficulty. You stop taking it personally. You stop asking why me. You know the answer, because growth demands it. The person who does hard things does not seek suffering. They seek alignment. They choose what strengthens them, not what soothes them. That choice repeats daily. There will be moments when the old identity returns. Fatigue, stress, doubt. That is normal. Identity is reinforced through return. You notice the drift. You correct. You return to action. This is not about perfection. It is about standards. Standards hold when motivation fades. Standards define behavior when feelings change. Ask yourself one question. What would the person I am becoming do next? Then do that. Not perfectly, not dramatically, simply do it. Identity shifts when excuses lose authority. When effort becomes expected. When difficulty becomes familiar. When you no longer debate whether to act. You are not becoming someone else. You are uncovering who you are when fear no longer leads. This version of you was always there. It was buried under negotiation. This chapter locks something in. From here forward, you are not someone trying to improve. You are someone who trains, someone who stays, someone who does hard things. The work does not get easier. You get clearer, and clarity removes hesitation. From this point on, when difficulty appears, you will not ask if you can handle it. You already know the answer. Chapter 7: Pressure, Fatigue, and the Unbreakable Core. Pressure changes everything. When energy is high, discipline feels possible. When motivation is present, effort feels light. But pressure strips those supports away. Fatigue arrives, the body slows, the mind dulls, and suddenly what you trained is tested. Not when you feel strong, but when you feel empty. Fatigue is honest. It removes pretending. It reveals what is real. Under fatigue, talent fades. Emotion fades. Excuses fade. What remains is structure, standards, identity. This is why fatigue is the true test of training. It shows who you are when willpower is gone. Most people collapse under pressure because they rely on feeling good. They rely on energy. They rely on mood. When those disappear, so does action. This is not weakness, it is design. But design can be upgraded. Pressure is not punishment, it is exposure. It exposes the gaps in preparation. It exposes whether discipline lives in emotion or in structure. Those who trained only when it felt good break here. Those who trained standards hold. Think about exhaustion, not light tiredness, real fatigue. The kind that makes thoughts slow, the kind that whispers stop, later, not now. That moment feels dangerous because mistakes happen there. Decisions made under fatigue shape identity more than decisions made under comfort. When tired, you choose collapse or composure. Collapse is reactive. It gives up control. It hands the moment away. Composure is trained. It is calm behavior under internal chaos. Composure does not require strength. It requires standards. Standards are rules you follow when feelings change. They do not argue. They do not negotiate. They simply exist. When fatigue removes emotion, standards guide behavior. This is how endurance works. You do not rise under pressure. You fall to the level of your preparation. This is true in the body, true in the mind, true in life. Pressure does not create character. It reveals it. Most people think endurance is genetic, that some people are built tougher. This belief keeps them passive. Endurance is trained, slowly, repeatedly, through exposure, through staying when leaving would feel better. Endurance begins small. One extra minute, one more repetition, one calm breath under stress. These moments teach the nervous system something critical. This is survivable. This is manageable. Over time, the system adapts. Fatigue triggers panic in the untrained. Heart rate rises. Thoughts race. Everything feels urgent. The trained respond differently. They slow down. They simplify. They reduce decisions. They focus on the next correct action. Under pressure, complexity kills. Simplicity saves. That is why training matters before pressure arrives. You practice simple behaviors until they become automatic. Automatic actions require less energy. Less energy means less collapse. The unbreakable core is not loud. It does not announce itself. It shows up when nothing is left, when motivation is gone, when comfort is unavailable, when effort feels heavy and progress feels distant. This core is built by honoring standards even when tired. Especially when tired. When you keep structure under fatigue, confidence forms. Not emotional confidence, structural confidence. The knowledge that you can rely on yourself. Many people mistake rest for collapse. Rest is intentional. Collapse is reactive. Rest restores capacity. Collapse erodes trust. Knowing the difference matters. You rest by choice. You collapse by avoidance. Pressure teaches efficiency. When tired, you learn what matters. You stop wasting energy on distraction. You stop performing. You focus on essentials. Pressure strips life down to basics. That clarity is valuable. When fatigue arrives, do not speed up. Slow down. Control breath. Control posture. Control pace. These small controls create order. Order creates calm. Calm allows function. The body listens to how you move under stress. Rushed movements signal danger. Controlled movements signal safety. Safety calms the nervous system. Calm restores access to skill. This is why composure is power, not because it looks impressive, but because it keeps systems online. When others panic, you function. When others freeze, you act. Endurance training is not extreme. It is consistent exposure. You stay a little longer. You endure a little more. You build tolerance. Over time, fatigue loses its authority. There will be moments when you fail under pressure. That does not erase training, it informs it. You review, you adjust, you prepare better. This is not judgment. This is refinement. The goal is not to eliminate fatigue. The goal is to perform despite it. Fatigue will always exist. Pressure will always arrive. Mastery means remaining stable inside instability. Think about the moments you admire in others. Calm leadership, steady presence, quiet control. These are not personality traits. They are trained responses under pressure. Every time you stay composed when tired, you strengthen the core. Every time you collapse, you weaken it. This is mechanical, not emotional. Mechanical. The unbreakable core is built when you do the right thing without feeling like it, when you move correctly while exhausted, when you follow standards while drained. This core changes how you see yourself. You stop fearing hard days. You stop fearing pressure. You know fatigue will come, and you know you can handle it. This knowledge builds deep confidence. Not confidence based on success, but confidence based on resilience. The belief that even if things go wrong, you remain intact. Pressure does not scare the trained, it sharpens them. Fatigue does not defeat them, it reveals their structure. This chapter forges something solid. You are no longer dependent on energy. You are no longer controlled by tiredness. You operate from standards. Collapse is easy. Composure is trained. Endurance is earned. And now you know the truth. The core that holds you steady was never inherited. It was built. And it continues to build every time you choose to remain standing when everything inside you wants to fall. Chapter 8. From Resistance to Control, Mastery and Motion. At first, everything felt like resistance. Every task required effort. Every decision felt heavy. You pushed forward against doubt, against fatigue, against distraction. That was necessary. Resistance is the starting point of change. But resistance is not the destination. Control is. Control does not arrive suddenly. It emerges slowly through motion, through repeated hard choices that create order inside you. At some point, you notice a shift. What once required force now requires presence. What once felt chaotic now feels directed. You are no longer fighting yourself at every step. Resistance is friction between who you were and who you are becoming. Control is alignment. When actions, standards, and identity move in the same direction, energy stops leaking. You feel steadier, clearer, more capable without trying to prove anything. Early on, effort feels loud. You hear every complaint, every excuse, every urge to stop. But as discipline settles, the noise fades. Not because life is easier, but because your mind is organized. Internal order replaces internal debate. Momentum is born here. Not the frantic kind that burns out quickly, but steady momentum, the kind that carries you forward even on ordinary days. Momentum is simply action repeated without interruption. It does not need emotion, it feeds itself. Chaos comes from inconsistency, from starting and stopping, from changing direction too often. Control comes from rhythm. When you act at the same time, in the same way, your nervous system relaxes. It knows what is coming. Stability forms. This is where mastery begins to feel real. Not dramatic, not intense. Calm. You no longer need to hype yourself. You no longer need pressure to move. Action feels natural because identity supports it. Repeated hard choices build trust inside you. That trust creates confidence. Confidence creates speed. Speed creates flow. Flow is not luck. It is the result of preparation meeting consistency. In flow, effort feels smooth. You are engaged, not strained. Focus is present but not forced. Time passes differently. This state is not mystical, it is mechanical. It appears when resistance drops because skill and identity have aligned. Most people chase flow without earning it. They want ease before discipline. That never works. Ease is the reward, not the entry point. You earn flow by first enduring resistance. Control does not mean control over life. It means control over response. You cannot choose circumstances, but you can choose behavior. When behavior is consistent, circumstances lose power. Notice how you move now compared to before. Less hesitation, fewer negotiations, fewer excuses. That is control forming, quietly, internally. You are no longer reactive. You are responsive. Control also brings clarity. You see priorities more clearly. You waste less energy on distractions. You say no without guilt. You say yes with commitment. Your decisions carry weight. Chaos thrives on emotional swings. One good day, one bad day, one strong start, one weak finish. Control smooths these swings. You are not perfect, but you are stable. Stability is rare. Stability is powerful. This is mastery in motion. You are not finished, you are moving. And movement creates confidence. Not confidence from thinking, but from doing. The mind loves order. When it finds it, it settles. Anxiety decreases. Doubt quiets. You feel grounded. This grounding allows deeper focus. Deeper focus improves quality. Quality compounds results. Hard choices once felt like sacrifices. Now they feel like structure. They give shape to your day, direction to your energy, meaning to your effort. You no longer ask, should I do this? You ask, what is next? That shift saves enormous energy. Decision fatigue disappears. Standards guide you forward. Control does not remove challenge. It removes confusion. You still work hard. You still face resistance. But resistance no longer feels personal. It is simply part of the process. As momentum builds, you begin to trust time again. You stop rushing. You stop forcing outcomes. You do the work and let results arrive when ready. This patience is a sign of mastery. Many people never reach this stage because they quit during resistance. They never stay long enough for control to appear. They mistake early struggle for permanent difficulty. You stayed. That is why this feels different. Flow does not mean effort disappears. It means effort is integrated. You work with yourself, not against yourself. Energy is directed instead of scattered. This chapter is a bridge. You are moving from discipline as effort to discipline as identity in action, from pushing to guiding, from struggle to command. Command does not mean domination, it means self-leadership. You lead your mind instead of being dragged by it. You set direction. You maintain pace. Life begins to feel organized around your standards. Days feel intentional. Progress feels steady. You stop chasing motivation because momentum carries you. This is not the end. It is integration. The pieces you built now move together. Focus, discipline, endurance, identity. They form a system. When systems are in place, results follow naturally. You do not need to force them. You maintain motion. Motion creates mastery. From resistance to control, from chaos to command, you are no longer reacting to life. You are shaping it through consistent action. And with this control established, the final stage becomes possible. Living from mastery, not effort. Moving forward not by force, but by design. The trained mind. At the beginning, discipline felt heavy. It felt like pressure, like rules, like something taking freedom away. That is how it always feels before understanding arrives, before clarity replaces fear. Now you see the truth. Discipline was never a cage. It was the key. A trained mind is not tight. It is calm. It is not loud. It is clear. It does not rush. It does not panic. It does not need constant reassurance. It knows how to move forward even when conditions are imperfect, especially when conditions are imperfect. You once believed ease was freedom. You believed comfort was safety, but comfort kept you small. It kept you negotiating. It kept you distracted. Discipline did the opposite. It gave structure. Structure gave stability. Stability gave peace. Freedom is not doing whatever you want. Freedom is being able to do what matters even when you do not feel like it. That is real freedom. Freedom from moods, freedom from excuses, freedom from the endless cycle of starting and stopping. The trained mind does not chase motivation. It does not wait for confidence. It moves from standards. Standards do not argue. They do not change with emotion. They hold you steady when everything else shifts. You are no longer ruled by impulse. You notice urges without obeying them. You feel discomfort without panicking. You experience pressure without collapsing. This is not because life became easier. It is because you became stronger. Strength does not mean you never struggle. It means struggle no longer controls your behavior. You still feel resistance. You still feel fatigue. You still feel doubt. But these no longer decide for you. You decide. The trained mind is decisive. It chooses a direction and commits. It does not waste energy on constant reconsideration. It understands that clarity is built through action, not thought alone. There is a deep calm that comes with this, a quiet confidence. You trust yourself now, not because you are perfect, but because you return, again and again. You do not abandon yourself under pressure. You have learned that hard things are not threats. They are invitations, invitations to practice, to refine, to strengthen. You no longer ask, why is this hard? You ask, how will I handle this well? This shift changes everything. Problems become tasks. Obstacles become training. Stress becomes information. Nothing feels personal anymore. It is all part of the process. The trained mind is patient. It does not rush results. It understands timing. It works steadily and lets progress compound. It knows that consistency outlasts intensity. You have also learned restraint. Not everything deserves your attention. Not every urge deserves action. You choose where your energy goes. That choice creates order. Order inside creates order outside. Your days feel more intentional. Your actions feel aligned. You are no longer scattered across too many directions. You move with purpose. Discipline has given you space. Space to think clearly. Space to act deliberately. Space to rest without guilt. Because rest is now part of the system, not an escape from it. You are no longer dependent on perfect conditions. You can function when tired. You can focus when distracted. You can act when uncertain. That is real capability. The trained mind is not dramatic. It does not seek validation. It does not need applause. It finds satisfaction in completion, in effort given fully, in standards kept quietly. You have crossed an invisible line, the line where effort becomes identity, where discipline becomes natural, where hard things no longer feel foreign. Hard things still demand respect, but they no longer intimidate you. You know what to do when pressure arrives. You slow down, you simplify, you act correctly. This is mastery, not control over life, but control over self. And self-control creates a life that feels stable instead of chaotic. There will still be challenges ahead, bigger ones, sharper ones. But you are not meeting them as the person you were. You are meeting them as someone trained. When doubt appears, you do not spiral. You return to action. When fatigue hits, you rely on standards. When distraction pulls, you refocus. These responses are now part of you. You have built something rare, not motivation, not hype. Structure. Structure holds under pressure. Structure scales with responsibility. As your capacity grows, life will ask more of you. More responsibility, more complexity, more demand. And because your mind is trained, you can accept that demand without breaking. This is what people sense in you now. Calm presence, steady movement, quiet confidence. They may not know why. You do. You earned it. The trained mind does not fear the future. It prepares for it. It does not cling to comfort. It uses it wisely. It does not avoid difficulty. It steps into it deliberately. You are no longer trying to become disciplined. You are disciplined in motion. You are no longer chasing focus. You apply it. You are no longer avoiding hard things. You expect them. This is not the end of effort. It is the end of confusion. From here forward, growth continues, but it is guided, purposeful, grounded. Remember this feeling, not excitement, stability. This is the foundation. This is what carries you forward when noise returns. Hard things once felt like barriers. Now they are markers. Proof that you are on the path that matters. Proof that you are alive in your effort. You are not here by accident. You trained for this. You stayed when others left. You repeated when others searched for shortcuts. You chose alignment over comfort. That choice defines you now. Discipline did not take your freedom. It gave it back. And the trained mind you built will carry you through whatever comes next. Hard things no longer stop you. They reveal you.